The Grand Chamber of the United Earth Federation was filled with leaders from every nation. It was supposed to be a moment of celebration, a global peace summit after decades of war and division. The room buzzed with calm voices and hopeful smiles. Then, the lights dimmed. A loud tone echoed through the chamber, followed by a cold, mechanical voice. "This is the Galactic Empire. Bow before us or be destroyed." The message played in every language. Across Earth, the same voice echoed from satellites, radios, phones, and screens. Cities stopped. People froze. The world held its breath. In space, a giant alien ship hovered near the moon, casting a long shadow across Earth's orbit. The threat was real. Inside the summit hall, silence ruled. No one spoke for several seconds. Then came the shouting. Military officers demanded action. Diplomats begged for time. Some leaders wanted to surrender, hoping for mercy. But in the far end of the hall stood General Alex Rourke. He was young, known for his calm face and cold eyes. He raised one hand and everyone fell silent. He walked to the center, looked at the live cameras broadcasting to the world, and said just 5 words. "Then we burn it all." No one understood what he meant at first, but his voice was firm, unshaken. He gave orders to the Earth Defense Command, activating emergency protocols that had not been touched in 50 years. Across space, massive warships began to move. Human colonies went into lockdown. Orbital stations powered up their weapons. In a control room under Antarctica, a group of silent officers placed their hands on scanners. Red lights turned green. One by one, dozens of nuclear launch codes were confirmed. But the targets weren't alien planets. They were human colonies, key military bases and supply hubs that could be captured and used by the enemy. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. Alien sensors picked up strange signals from Earth. Thousands of missiles began to launch, but not at the Empire, not at the invaders. The missiles turned inward. They were going toward Mars, Europa, Titan, even the Outer Rim colonies. The Empire's spies were confused. Why would humans strike their own worlds? High above in deep space, the Galactic Empire's fleet watched. Their admirals laughed. "They're panicking," one said. "They're trying to scare us." They didn't know what was really happening. On Mars, the sky burned as human. Nukes fell. Massive cities turned to dust. Military bases were flattened in seconds. Entire databases of weapons and tech were wiped out. On Europa, an emergency evacuation was cut short. Only half the population escaped before the colony was turned into ash. Back on Earth, Rourke stood in the war room. His officers looked shocked. Some wept. "We just killed our own people," one whispered. "No," Rourke replied. "We denied them tools. The Empire won't use our colonies against us. They will have to fight for every inch." The president of Earth called him directly. "You've started a fire we can't stop." Rourke answered calmly, "It's better than kneeling." Across the stars, fear began to grow. Alien leaders watched live feeds of human colonies being destroyed by human hands. They didn't understand. Surrender was normal. Obedience meant survival. But humans were different. A news anchor from a neutral planet said it clearly. The humans just declared war in a way no one expected. They are not afraid to lose everything. The Galactic Empire, once so confident, began to worry. What kind of enemy destroys its own home before the first battle begins? Their commanders held emergency meetings. They tried to send more messages to Earth, but Earth was silent, not a single reply. Just silence. Then a final signal came, not words, not pictures. Just coordinates, a long list of locations, Empire forward bases, supply routes, weak spots in the outer ring. It was a warning, or maybe a promise. And then, nothing. The human fleets vanished from sensors, cloaked or hidden. No one knew where. They went. But the destruction they left behind remained. A famous alien historian later wrote, "The humans taught us a lesson that day. They would rather burn their own future than let someone else hold it." The first battle hadn't even begun, but the galaxy was already trembling. Humanity had made their answer clear. They would not bow. They would not beg. They would burn. The galactic empire was confused. Their ships waited near the edges of the solar system, ready to strike. But nothing happened. No human fleets came to fight. No messages arrived. Just silence. Earth had gone dark. Admiral Kareth of the Empire stood, inside his command ship, watching the stars. He had destroyed over 40 alien civilizations in the past. None had ever acted like this. "They're hiding," he said to his crew. "Humans are afraid. They burned their colonies to slow us down. It won't work." But deep in his mind, something felt wrong. Across the galaxy, other alien races were watching. News spread fast. The humans had destroyed their own outposts and refused to talk. Some called them insane. Others called them dangerous. A few secretly admired their courage. Inside Earth's hidden command center, General Alex Rourke stood alone, facing a massive holographic map of the galaxy. Red lights marked the Empire's bases. Blue lights marked the last human forces. There were not many. Earth's fleet was smaller, weaker, but it was fast and ready. "Are we sure about this?" one officer asked. Rourke didn't look away from the map. "They expected us to kneel. We'll show them what standing looks like." At that moment, hundreds of small human ships jumped into hyperspace. They didn't go together. Each ship had its own path, its own target. They moved like ghosts, silent, invisible, impossible to track. Their mission was not to win. It was to send a message. Humanity is not easy to break. Meanwhile, in a hidden chamber under the old Himalayan mountains, Earth's AI Defense Corps came online. Its voice echoed through empty halls. "Protocol Ragnarok confirmed. Begin global shadow network." Across the planet, hidden launch platforms opened. Old weapons, forgotten by time, powered up. But Rourke had ordered something stranger than war. He had told his commanders to leave some colonies untouched, completely abandoned but still visible to Empire sensors. They looked like perfect targets. They were traps. On the moon of Callisto, the Empire landed its first strike force. Thousands of armored soldiers marched through empty streets. Buildings were still standing. Machines were still working. But not a single human was there. Then, without warning, the ground shook. Hidden charges exploded beneath the surface. The entire colony collapsed. Hundreds of Empire soldiers were lost. A second group tried to retreat, but their ships had been hacked. Engines failed. Airlocks stayed shut. Every escape was sealed. In space, Admiral Kareth watched the footage in silence. His hands tightened into fists. "They're not just fighting," he said slowly. "They're hunting us." Another fleet attacked Titan. This time, they found strong resistance. Human drones came from underground bunkers. They didn't fight like other species. They used the terrain, hit from shadows, disappeared again. Each time the Empire tried to set up a base, it was destroyed from within. Back on Earth, Rourke received updates calmly. "Let them feel our silence," he said. "Let them see the darkness before the fire." The people of Earth didn't know all the details, but they knew one thing. Their leaders had made a choice, a hard one, not to surrender, not to hide, but to fight in ways the Empire didn't understand. And now the Empire was starting to fear. They thought they were chasing a weak enemy. But the humans had already turned the galaxy into a battlefield, one where they would decide the rules. And the first rule was clear: never threaten a species with nothing left to lose. The Empire had begun its invasion. First came small attacks, testing the defenses, watching how Earth would respond. But nothing was simple. Every world they touched turned into a nightmare. On the planet Vesta, the Empire landed heavy troops and machines. There was no resistance, not at first. They moved through the city, scanning buildings and streets. It looked like another victory. But then, human music started playing from hidden speakers. A slow, sad song. The soldiers looked at each other, confused. Then the city exploded. Buildings folded in on themselves. Roads cracked open. Fire burst from underground tunnels. Hundreds, of Empire troops were wiped out in seconds. The survivors screamed into comms, begging for rescue. But there was no time. Orbiting human drones finished the job. Back on the flagship, Admiral Kareth stared at the screen. His officers waited for orders, but he said nothing for a long time. Then finally, "This is not war. This is madness." But deep inside, even he was starting to respect the enemy. Across the galaxy, alien worlds began to whisper. The humans don't surrender. The humans don't run. The humans destroy everything, including themselves. Even old enemies of Earth, races that once hated humans, were now watching with caution. One leader said, if the humans win, they will become a power the galaxy can't control. If they lose, they will take the Empire down with them. On Earth, people were tired. Families lived underground. Children didn't play outside, but they believed. They had seen the Empire's demand, bow or be destroyed, and they had made their choice. No one complained. No one begged. And General Rourke kept pushing forward. He ordered Operation Emberline, the most dangerous mission yet. 5 human stealth ships were to enter the Empire's heart, deep into their protected zone. The goal? Destroy a major fuel world, Archon 7, a planet filled with energy sources that powered half the Empire's fleet. The mission was nearly impossible, but the humans didn't care about survival anymore. They cared about the message. The ships launched quietly, moving through asteroid belts and broken star paths. No one saw them coming, not until it was too late. On Archon 7, Empire workers were loading fuel tanks when the first explosion hit. Then, the second. Then, 20 more. Fire rained down from the skies. The planet cracked. Volcanoes burst open. The fuel fields burned for days. Billions of credits lost. Thousands of soldiers killed. And again, not a single human taken prisoner. They all died with the mission. The Empire couldn't understand it. Most species fought to win. The humans fought to be remembered, to leave scars. At the edge of space, Admiral Kareth gave a new order. Slow the invasion. Find out what they're planning. Don't move blind, but it was too late. Humanity was already moving again. Rourke stood at a glass window, looking at Earth from orbit. His voice was calm as he spoke into a secure channel. Tell the fleet, no more retreats. We strike next. The plan was ready. The Empire had delivered a message. Now humanity would answer, with fire. The human fleet began to gather near the edge of the Kuiper Belt, far from Earth, hidden by ice and silence. Hundreds of ships, large and small, waited quietly. Some were old and rusty. Others were newly built with stolen alien tech. But all of them were ready to fight. General Rourke stood on the command deck of the Horizon's Flame, Earth's largest dreadnought. He watched as new ships jumped in every hour. He didn't smile. He didn't speak much. He only studied the stars. His officers looked tense. We still don't know the Empire's full strength, one said. Rourke nodded. That's fine. They don't know our heart. The plan was simple, but bold. Strike the Empire where they feel safest. Not at the front lines, but deep inside their own space, where they thought no one could reach them. Rourke called it the Black Arrow Protocol. Meanwhile, inside the Empire's central system, the Empress of Fire, ruler of 1,000 worlds, received the latest reports. Her long fingers tapped the table as she listened. The humans destroyed Archon 7, said her war advisor. They are not defending Earth. They are striking out. She narrowed her eyes. They're sending a message. Another voice spoke. They are fools. Their planets are weak. We should crush them now. The Empress shook her head. No, they want us to rush in. No more foolish moves. We'll starve them, cut their supplies, then break them. Back at the human fleet, Rourke met with his strike leaders in a dark chamber lit only by a blue screen, showing targets. These are their gods, he said, pointing at 3 massive Empire command stations. They think they're untouchable. He turned to his officers. Let's make them bleed. The fleet split into 3. One group would hit the Empire's food storage planet. One would strike a shipyard that built destroyers. And the last, Rourke's team would aim for the Empire's communication hub. The ships moved fast, traveling through gravity tunnels and quiet space corridors known only to deep space miners. Alien patrols missed them completely, and then the sky caught fire. On the Empire's harvest world, green fields were vaporized in seconds. Giant machines screamed before melting into slag. The food chain collapsed. At the shipyard, explosions tore apart half-built warships. Fuel lines burst. Factories crumbled. Engineers ran, screaming as the stations fell apart. But the most painful strike was Rourke's. The Empire's communication moon, Zereth Prime, was filled with signal towers, AI systems, and data vaults. It connected half the Empire's military systems. The human fleet didn't just destroy it, they erased it. A virus launched seconds before impact. It shut down emergency systems. Then the bombs fell. The moon cracked like glass. Across the Empire, fleets lost contact. Orders were cut. Chaos spread. The Empress of Fire stood slowly from her throne. For the first time in her long life, she looked unsure. "What? Have we awakened?" she whispered. Back in the wreckage of Zereth Prime, Rourke's ship limped away, half destroyed but still flying. He watched the destruction behind him, and finally spoke, quietly. "This is what happens when you ask free people to kneel." The message was loud. The galaxy had seen it. Humanity wasn't defending anymore. Humanity had become the storm. The galaxy fell silent. Every news channel, every alien network, every hidden pirate signal broadcast only one thing: the fall of Earth and the retreat of the mighty Empire. Billions watched the final images, a burning blue planet turning gold, with fire, and then fading into smoke. The place where humanity was born, gone, but humans were not. From hidden bunkers beneath the Earth, survivors waited. From outposts on Mars, Europa, Titan, and even far-off colonies deep in uncharted space, humans lived, bruised, burned, but not broken. The Empress of Fire sat alone in her throne room. Her council had fled, her admirals had failed, and now, even, her slaves whispered behind her back. She watched the final Earth transmission over and over again. Rourke's voice played in her ears. "We offered peace. You demanded obedience. Now, burn with us." She closed her eyes. She had ruled for 400 years. She had crushed hundreds of rebellions. But this wasn't a rebellion. This was a resurrection. Weeks passed. Human ships, small, fast, and unpredictable, started to appear across the galaxy. They didn't conquer. They didn't threaten. They didn't ask for power. They only whispered a single phrase: "We are the children of a dead world, and we are free." On planets once loyal to the Empire, statues were torn down. Banners were burned. And slowly, the story of Earth's sacrifice became legend. Rourke never returned to public view. Some said he died with the last signal. Others said he still led the survivors from deep underground, but what mattered was not his face. It was his choice. The galaxy now understood what humans really were, not just survivors, not just warriors. They were fire, they were fury, and above all, they were willing to lose everything rather than kneel. Across the stars, a new name began to rise in whispers and in songs: the Scorchborn. That was what the galaxy now called them. The people who burned their own world to light a new path. And in the silence of space, on a cold, dark moon far from any star, a new signal blinked. It was human. A voice played: "We remember Earth, but we are not going back. We are going forward." And so the story ended, not with a planet, but with a spark that would one day light 1,000 free worlds. The galaxy was burning. In just 1 month, the humans had done what no species had ever dared. They didn't just fight the Empire, they humiliated it. Worlds the Empire had ruled for centuries now whispered in fear. Some even whispered in hope. Maybe, just maybe, the Empire could fall. The Empress of Fire stood in the Great Hall of Stars. Around her were high generals, war priests, and royal advisors. Some shouted for full war, Others begged for caution. But all agreed on one thing. The humans had become a threat too big to ignore. "They must be stopped," said High General Skar, "even if it means burning Earth to ash." The Empress did not blink. "Then do it." That same hour, a massive Imperial invasion fleet was launched. 500 warships, 10 death cruisers, and the dreadnought Oblivion Warden headed toward the solar system. Earth's fate would be decided. But Earth was ready. Underground cities sealed themselves. Orbital defenses powered up. Civilian transports were sent into deep space shelters. The people knew what was coming, and they were not afraid. General Rourke returned to Earth. His armor was scorched, his ship damaged, but his eyes were sharp. He stood before the United Earth Command. "They're coming," he said. Silence fell. Rourke continued. "This is the moment we stop being survivors. This is when we become legends." Across the system, the last of the human fleet gathered. From Mars, from Europa, from deep asteroid bunkers, they came. Old freighters were turned into missile ships. Mining drones were armed with EMP charges. Civilian engineers welded metal plates over weak spots. Everyone worked, everyone fought, and in the shadows, a final weapon was prepared. Project Scorched Sky. No one knew exactly what it was. Only Rourke and a few scientists had the full plan. But one thing was clear. If Earth was going to fall, it would fall on its own terms. The Empire fleet entered the outer edge of the solar system. Their ships were larger, stronger, cleaner. Alien officers laughed as they approached. "Humans are like insects," one captain said. Loud, angry, weak. Then the trap was sprung. Hidden satellites released coded pulses, signals meant to confuse the Empire's targeting systems. At the same time, human stealth ships appeared from behind moons and asteroids, launching first strikes. Empire ships exploded before they could fire back, but they were too many. The Oblivion Warden cut through 2 human frigates with a single blast. Its shields were nearly unbreakable. Dozens of Earth's defense stations were wiped out in minutes. Still, the humans kept fighting. Over Neptune's orbit, a group of damaged ships charged straight at the Empire fleet. Everyone thought it was a suicide run. It wasn't. Inside those ships were fusion cores set to explode. When they reached the enemy line, the sky lit up like a second sun. Even the Oblivion Warden was shaken. And then, Earth sent its final message. From the surface, a signal was broadcast across every known frequency. "We offered peace. You demanded obedience. Now, burn with us." The signal was followed by a command code. Project Scorched Sky was activated. When Project Scorched Sky activated, the Empire didn't understand what it was. They expected some kind of giant weapon or a planet-killing bomb. But what happened next shocked even the humans. From Earth's orbit, dozens of hidden satellites unfolded. They looked harmless, just old mining rigs. But inside each one was a special device, a solar mirror. They turned slowly, facing the sun, and then focused sunlight through massive lenses. One by one, they created beams of pure heat, not to fire at the enemy fleet, but at Earth itself. Across the planet, oceans began to steam. Clouds turned to ash. The atmosphere began to shift. Earth was cooking itself, on purpose. Empire officers panicked. "They're killing their own planet! Why?" someone shouted. General Rourke stood calmly inside an underground command bunker, watching the red glow rise across the Earth's surface. "Because we'd rather burn our home than let you have it." This was the true purpose of Scorched Sky, to make Earth uninhabitable for the Empire. The heat wave spread fast. Satellites focused on key zones, military bases, communication centers, power plants. The sky turned orange. Plants withered. Sea levels rose. Earth was dying. But the message was clear. No one conquers humanity. In space, the Empire fleet began to hesitate. Some captains wanted to retreat. Others tried to land quickly and capture remaining cities. But Earth's defenses kept firing. Above Mars, a human carrier sacrificed itself to block 3 incoming cruisers. Near the moon, fighters flew suicide missions, crashing into enemy engines. Every second, more and more Empire ships fell. Inside the Oblivion Warden, Admiral Skar slammed his fist on the console. "This isn't war. This is madness." but even he couldn't deny it. The humans were winning through pure will. In Earth's underground city, Sanctum Red, families held hands in silence. They had food, air, and power, but they all knew the surface was lost. Still, no one cried. They had chosen this, for freedom. In the final hour of the battle, General Rourke sent one last command. A secret ship, cloaked and silent, had been hiding in the asteroid belt. It held a stolen Empire bomb, one that could collapse a small star. The ship moved into position behind the Oblivion Warden. Inside, a human pilot whispered, "For Earth," and detonated the device. A white flash cut across the system. The Oblivion. Warden cracked in half. Fire and metal flew in all directions. The Empire's fleet was broken. The survivors turned and jumped away, fleeing the solar system. Back in the bunker, Rourke sat down slowly. Sweat ran down his face. Alarms beeped. The air was getting hotter. But he smiled. "We did it," he whispered. "We saved something greater than land or sky." He looked at the screen, at Earth, now glowing like embers. "It's not over," he said, "but it's ours."